Hey guys, welcome to Spooky Okie. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Madison.
And today we have a sister state episode. Madison, what state are we talking about?
We are talking about Colorado.
All right, so Madison, are you going to start us off today with a spooky story?
I sure will.
All right,
Can't
let's
wait.
hear it.
So I am going to be telling the story of the Stanley Hotel.
I am so excited.
Have you heard of the Stanley Hotel?
I have heard of it. I don't remember the story.
So do you know what, how it became famous?
Is the Stanley Hotel famous because of the,
Yes. The Shining?
The Shining.
Yes.
For those listening, I was just doing like a knife jabbing motion. Could not get any words out.
You nailed it.
Thank you.
That's it. So I'm covering the Stanley Hotel.
Okay, great.
Great, let's get started. Okay. I only have 4 sources this time. And
All right.
honestly, some of my info, I'm just reading from one of the sources because they have
Great.
a like really comprehensive list of the ghosts and stuff. So
Cool, let's do
cool. So my sources are uncovercolorado.com, stanleyhotel.com, Wikipedia, and legendsofamerica.com.
We have a source in common, by the way.
Did we really?
Uncovercolorado.com.
I was about to say the Stanley Hotel.
No.
Okay, so in 1903, a man named Freeland Oscar Stanley arrived in Colorado. He was weak and underweight from consumption. Do you know what consumption is? Because I always definitely thought it was eating too much.
Isn't it tuberculosis?
It is tuberculosis.
Okay.
Yes, nailed it. So
I learned that well because of, and that's why we.
me too, because I never had any clue what consumption actually was. I thought it was like something that just like went away and doesn't exist at all anymore.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know it was like tuberculosis.
Right.
You know, I thought it was like its own thing, but yeah. But it is also not like eating too much or anything.
No, it is.
Which it does sound like that's what it would be.
Yeah, because if you consume something, you're eating something.
It doesn't really make sense,
It
but it's fine. So tuberculosis is what this good sir had. It was a weird way to say that. So the popular treatment of the time was fresh, dry air, sunlight, and a hearty diet.
A hearty diet. What's a hearty diet?
I don't know.
Okay.
Consuming a lot.
That's
That's where they get the name consumption.
We figured it out.
We're so smart. I love it.
There's people screaming. No, they've stopped. The people that would scream are already not listening to us.
Yeah, no.
They never listen to us long.
No. I also would have stopped listening, so I don't blame them. Okay, so Stanley, like many others, decided to come to the Rocky Mountains to recover.
All right. Is it dry air thing? Is it not humid?
I would think it would be humid, but I don't know.
Humid too, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
I don't know. I don't question it.
And they were wanting what kind of air? Warm dry or cool dry?
Fresh dry.
Oh, fresh dry.
I'm sure it's fresh.
I mean, I'm sure all the air at that point was, well, maybe not all.
No. Thinking like New York City.
New York City would not be, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So he decided to come to the Rocky Mountains to recover. So he and his wife arrived in Denver in March.
Okay.
So then in June, a few months later, his doctor recommended that he move to Estes Park, Colorado for the rest of the summer.
Okay.
I guess just like get out of the city even more.
Gotcha.
So he recommended that area. And Stanley loved this area. I put loved in all caps. He loved this area.
Okay.
Very into it, very happy. So he was impressed by its beauty.
All right.
And his health improved a lot over the summer. So he vowed to return to the area every summer.
Okay.
Because it saved him or whatever.
It saved him. All right.
So he got better.
Okay. I'm feeling a butt coming on.
Really, actually.
Okay.
No, he's fine. But
I mean, he's not now. He's dead now. Right?
He's dead now.
Okay.
So there is a butt at some point. But I honestly don't even know when.
Okay.
I don't even think I have him dying in here. It's fine. It's not about him. It's about the hotel.
Okay.
So, plot twist. There's a hotel.
There's a hotel?
Yeah.
The Stanley Hotel is about a hotel?
Surprising, right? And guess what? Stanley builds it.
Nuh-uh.
Crazy.
That's insane.
Okay. So, something he wasn't a fan of, however, were the rustic accommodations. So he decided he wanted to turn Estes Park into a resort town. Which I'm thinking, like, if you like it because of the natural beauty and it like saved you and like,
shouldn't you
leave it? Like,
Shouldn't
shouldn't you leave it alone if you liked it so much instead of turning it into like a tourist trap? But whatever, it's fine. I don't know. But in 1907, he started construction on the Hotel Stanley.
The Hotel Stanley.
Hotel Stanley. It automatically sounds so much fancier if you say hotel first.
Yes.
But it's like known as the Stanley Hotel now. I don't know when that name changed or like I don't know. But it does sound much.
Still be the Hotel Stanley.
The Hotel Stanley.
Sounds. Then you just have to say it different.
You do. It changes how you say it. The Stanley Hotel versus the Hotel Stanley.
You have to say it different.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to sound a little English. I don't know why.
It does. Yes, I agree.
Okay.
So the Hotel Stanley was a 48-room grand hotel that catered to the wealthy.
Of course.
Naturally. Even being in such a rural area, the hotel had all the modern amenities as the fancy hotels in the city.
Oh, nice.
Right. So some of these included electric lights.
No, electric lights. Okay.
Telephones.
That's mind-boggling. At what time is this?
1907.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty early, really.
It still seems early, but yeah, okay.
They were around for sure, but pretty early that's why they were like a big amenity.
Yeah.
Bathrooms in the rooms.
Nice.
A staff of uniformed servants. I don't. Okay. And a fleet of automobiles at their disposal.
Oh,
that's pretty fancy. Yeah.
For that time, especially.
Pretty fancy. One time I went to like a fancy resort place, I guess. In Colorado. I'm sure like just not remembering this.
Okay.
It's like a very fancy one. There's like museums and stuff there and like a bunch of like vehicles and that sort of thing. I only went because my cousin worked there and was able to get us like an insane discount. He like worked in the kitchens and stuff. And yeah, it was, but there was like nobody there. That's the thing. Is like
really
we went during the summer. And like there was nobody there.
Wow.
It was weird. There was like very few others. They had like fancy dining, like gorgeous pools and rooms and stuff. And, like,
wow.
It was interesting. We like rented bikes and stuff and rode on bike trails. Like you could like rent bikes there. It was really fun.
I feel like I remember you talking about this before.
Yeah, it was
For some reason I was thinking it was New Mexico.
Oh no.
Definitely thought it was New Mexico.
No, it was Colorado.
Okay.
I don't remember where at or what the resort was or anything, but
because that story sounded very familiar, and then I was like, I always pictured you in New Mexico.
No, it was Colorado. It was very nice. It was a good time. But anyway, it also catered to the wealthy, and I was very out of place there because that's not me at all.
Okay.
So anyway, they also had a lot of amenities. It was a good time.
We need to go there and find like some single wealthy men on a trip.
For you, yes.
Oh yeah, you.
I am no longer single.
No longer single.
Yeah, but for you, hey, I am there. I am your wing woman.
I forget you're taken now.
Yep. Sorry. Not sorry at all, actually. Anyway, in 1909, construction was completed and the hotel opened for business.
Nice.
So to bring guests from the nearest train depot, Stanley's car company, because he like owned a car company or something.
Oh wow. Okay.
It produced a fleet of specially designed steam-powered vehicles called mountain wagons that seated multiple passengers.
Okay.
So he like really was going all out.
Why can't we go back to this steam-powered?
That's what I'm wondering. Why did it go away?
Don't know.
It seems much better for the environment.
It does.
I don't know. I wonder if they were like, no, I mean, gasoline is highly flammable and stuff. I was like, I wonder if there was like more danger because it's like steam, so it has to like really, really heat, right?
Yeah.
Maybe just, I don't know. If anybody knows why we moved away from steam-powered vehicles, send us an email at spookyokiepodcast@gmail.com because I'm really curious now. Oh, Catherine's looking it up. Don't worry. We've got it handled, actually. We're professional researchers.
I'm going to say up to 30 minutes to start.
Oh. Certainly we could like cut down on that time now though, right?
Yeah, you would think.
I mean, that was back then. Like that was a long time ago.
It's an automated quick firing boilers to solve these problems.
Oh.
But not before more efficient gasoline engines dominated the market and made steam cars obsolete.
So we could go back to steam cars.
What are the disadvantages of steam powered cars? Steam cars had fewer moving parts than gasoline powered cars.
That seems like a positive. Less things to break, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm in the market for a new
steam
car.
Cars are very quiet. Okay.
That's great. That's good. That's what we want, right?
The major disadvantage is that a steam car has to fire up its boiler, has to get up to an operating temperature, and this can take as much as 20 minutes before the car can move. Okay.
I would say under normal circumstances, that would be fine. Like, I'd be cool with like starting the car early.
Yeah.
Unless it's an emergency, and
Right.
then I see how that could be an issue.
Right, that could be an issue if it's an emergency, but and like if you're at a store and you have to then wait 20 minutes in the parking lot,
yeah,
you can move. Like I can see how
I see that, but also like that they don't make those anymore, so like I'm sure they could solve that problem pretty quickly.
Yeah, with the technology we have today.
Yeah. Okay, bring back steam powered vehicles.
Yeah, I'd rather do that than electric.
Yeah, I'm in the market for a new vehicle, and I'm gonna do a hybrid, but like I would do steam. I would try it out.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'll test it. If someone wants to make it, I'll test it.
Bring back steam powered engines.
All right, that's our new platform. Anyway, steam powered vehicles. That's where we were.
Yes.
Found it. So Stanley operated the hotel almost as a pastime, remarking once that he spent more money than he made each summer. So maybe not like the best businessman.
Yeah, maybe not.
But he had a good time. So it's good. Gave people jobs, which is a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, helps stimulate the economy. Right? Is that the right wordage?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to not be negative about him since he's obviously like a rich man, and I am just negative about the rich. But yeah. Anyway, we'll move on.
Okay.
Before I start griping about that. So in 1926, Stanley sold his hotel to a private company that was created for the sole purpose of running the hotel. It's called the Stanley Corporation. Okay. So I don't know how that works or why that happened.
Interesting.
I'm wondering if it was like for tax purposes, like to get a write-off or something. Like it had to be something like that. Yeah. But the venture failed. Oh. And in 1929, 3 years later, didn't last long, he purchased his property out of foreclosure. So he had to like buy it back.
That's sad. That's not good.
So he sold it again in 1930, so the next year, to fellow automobile and hotel magnate Roe Emery of Denver.
Okay.
Until 1983, the resort was only open during the summer, shutting down for the winter every year. Okay. So if you've seen The Shining, then that makes sense. Like it's based on, they're there for the winter and it's closed down. It's closed. Okay. So Stanley made a huge contribution to the growth of Estes Park, which incorporated in 1917. So like after the hotel was there. Gotcha. And then also in the creation of the Rocky Mountain National Park, which was established in 1915. So also after the hotel. Okay. So it brought in a lot of like tourists and stuff. Nice. So in the 1970s, the hotel was struggling financially, and it may have ended up closing down, but it got lucky that a certain famous author happened to visit and find inspiration for his next novel there. Stephen King? Yes. Wow, you're so smart. So he only stayed one night there, but it was like enough to inspire his third major work and first hardcover bestseller, The Shining. Wow. Which remains a landmark masterpiece in a long and well-known list of novels. Dang. Mm-hmm. That's crazy that he only spent one night there. You would think with something that's that big of an inspiration, it would have been like he spent 3 weeks there. You would think so. Yeah. No, he was just there one night. And he was like, cool, I'm going to write a novel. I'm going to write a novel about this place. Yeah. Isn't that wild? All right, let's get on to the spooky stuff because that's what we're all here for. Yes, please give us the spooky. Great. This is all straight from Legends of America. I will be reading from Legends of America. Legends of America is a great website. They have a lot of good stuff. They have, these are like long paragraphs about each ghost and stuff. So it's going to be great. All right, so in addition to its regular guests, the hotel is also said to play host to a number of otherworldly visitors. Ooh. The most notable is Stanley himself. Aw, Stanley loves it so much he stayed there in the afterlife. Still hanging out. He's most often seen in the lobby and in the billiard room. Oh, okay. Which, same. That's where I would also be. I would also be very fun. Games, yes. Which was his favorite room when he was alive. Ah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. One time he was said to have appeared during a tour's group visit to the billiard room, materializing behind a member of the tour.
Okay.
Isn't that wild?
That is crazy.
It's so cool to be like on a tour there and be like, oh,
hi,
there he is.
Mr. Stanley.
The guy himself.
Gosh.
So bartenders at the hotel also report having seen Stanley stroll through the bar, disappearing when they tried to cut him off at the kitchen.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting? Also, like, why were they trying to cut him off? He owns the place.
Yeah.
He can go wherever he wants.
Where he wants.
I guess they probably didn't know what he looked like and thought it was just like a random person. Yeah. But he just disappears.
You can go back here. Excuse me. I'm just gonna fade out where you can't see me because
Fine.
I own this joint. Like,
yeah, I can't go back there. Fine, I'll just leave.
Fine, I'll just disappear. I'm actually gonna stay here and gonna mess with you, but yeah, you tell me what to do. That'd be me as a ghost. Like, you don't know what to do.
Yeah. I live a whole lifetime. I can do whatever I want. I earned this.
Yeah.
So Flora Stanley, his wife,
okay,
also haunts the hotel, continuing to entertain guests with her piano playing in the ballroom, which you know is one of my favorites. I love piano playing ghosts. So fun.
And if it used to entertain guests, then she must be good.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
that's my thought. So at least it's good piano playing.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting. I want to go here.
Yes.
So employees and guests have reported hearing music coming from the room, and when they take a peek in there, they can see the piano keys moving. However, as soon as someone walks across the threshold to investigate further, the music stops and no more movement can be seen upon the keys of the piano. Ooh. So like you can literally see them moving. And it's not like one of the ones that plays themselves. Like,
right.
It's a regular one. Yeah.
One of those trick pianos or
whatever. Yeah. So there are also several rooms in the hotel that seem to be particularly haunted.
Ooh. Okay, so we gotta remember these. So
yeah.
When we go, we can.
For sure.
Okay.
So one is room 407, which is said to sometimes be occupied by Lord Dunraven, who owned the land prior to Stanley.
Oh, okay.
So he was there first. Okay. Yeah. Reportedly, he likes to stand in the corner of the room near the bathroom door, which is terrifying. Can you imagine getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and there's a man standing there?
No.
Terrifying. Awful.
No, sir.
So on one such account, a witness has reported that a light in that corner kept turning on and off. While the light was off, they told the ghost that they knew he was there, and they would only be staying 2 nights, and would he please turn the light back on? Which is exactly what I would do if there's a ghost that I didn't want there. I would be like, yes. I'm gonna be out of here so soon. Like, just maybe turn the light on for me if you don't mind. Like, that would be great.
And then if you could just like leave me alone for 2 nights.
Yeah, 2 nights is all I ask.
And I'll be gone.
And the light, yes, the light turned back on.
Did it stay on?
Well, however, later when the lights were turned off and they were trying to sleep, noises were constantly heard from the nearby elevator during a time when the elevator was not in use. So he was still like, he was like, fine, I won't mess with the lights, but I'm gonna mess with other things.
It's still gonna make noise right beside you. Yeah,
so like he technically did what they asked, but he was being difficult about it.
Gotta be specific.
Yeah.
Very specific.
Yeah. So at other times, a ghostly face has been reported to be looking out the window of room 407 when the room is not booked.
No, thank you.
Terrifying.
No, thank you.
So another one is room 418.
Okay.
So room 418 gets the most reports of haunting activity.
Oh, okay.
Apparently from children's spirits, which makes me nervous because I feel like it's not children. I feel like it's probably demons. So that's fun.
That's a demon.
That's a demon. So cleaning crews report having heard many strange noises from the room, as well as seeing impressions on the bed when the room has been empty.
No,
I don't like that at all. I know.
I hate that. I hate the stories when people are like, yeah, somebody was like on me in bed.
Yeah.
I hate that.
It's terrifying.
No,
because it's like that should be a safe place. Like you,
yes.
I mean, you always like, if I get under the covers in bed, like I'm okay, I'm good. Nope. So I really don't like that.
No, thank you.
When guests stay in the room, they often report that they hear children playing in the hallway at night, but like there's no kids. One couple reportedly checked out of the hotel very early in the morning, complaining that the children in the hallway kept them up all night. However, there were no children booked in the entire hotel at the time. Like there are no children there at all. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so not great. There have also been many reports by guests of haunting activities in rooms 217 and 401.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of rooms that are haunted here.
Yeah, a lot of rooms, especially on level 4.
Yeah, there's a ton. So tour guides tell a story of the ghost of a small child who's been seen by many of the staff in various areas of the hotel. Which I don't like.
Don't like that.
Reportedly, Stephen King also saw the child who was calling out to his nanny on the 2nd floor. But it was a ghost. There was no child or nanny. And then other past employees report footsteps and apparitions seen throughout the building. But I mean, maybe that's why one night was enough for Stephen King to write the book.
Inspiration.
But room 217 is, I believe, the one that Stephen King stayed in.
Okay.
So after the valley experienced a flood, the 2-year-old's hotel power went out for the first time. So like this was way back in the day. There was a big flood and stuff. And Stanley took it upon himself to install a gas lantern in each room to provide the guests with the light.
Oh no.
You kind of see where this is going. Yeah. A leak caused a buildup of gas to form in room 217, and the head chambermaid Elizabeth Wilson entered the room with a lit candle and set off a massive explosion. Wilson miraculously survived and was launched from the room's entrance to the dining hall located on the 1st floor.
Holy moly.
I don't know how she lived. She was on the 2nd floor.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So an estimated 10% of the hotel was not as lucky as Elizabeth Wilson. And it was like really messed up. One observer reported seeing a bathtub fly up in the air during the blast. So it was like very powerful. I don't know how this woman lived.
How in the world?
She like had the candle, so it like originated right there. I don't understand, but apparently she lived.
That's insane.
Yeah. So after waking up from a coma, obviously, Wilson returned to work in 1913 and remained employed by the hotel until 1950. Can you imagine?
Well, and you think about it, it's not her fault. I mean, she had no idea that there was
a gas buildup.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And I'm sure, like, if the lights are all out in this hotel, she's got to have a candle to light her way so she can see. It's not like they've got flashlights at this point.
Yeah. This would have been a very normal thing to do, just like part of the routine.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I couldn't go back to work there after that. There's no way.
No, that would be really hard.
So this is where Wilson's story should end, but it doesn't, according to some hotel guests and staff.
Okay, does she remain?
Her spirit is said to still inhabit room 217. But reports claim that she's typically more helpful than scary.
Well, that's good.
So she's there helping out still.
She doesn't angrily pack.
She does not. She is not Theodora.
Man, I still love Theodora.
I'm in her room. I'm staying in her room.
When
we go, I'm staying in her room. I didn't think we were going to get one of the haunted rooms, but I get to stay in her room. I'm so excited. Can't wait.
So freaking jealous.
Yeah, if you want to know the story of Theodora and you don't know what we're talking about, go back to our episode about, what's it called? What is this place called? The Crescent Hotel. Yep, that's where I'm going. Sorry. I couldn't remember the name. I freaked out. I knew it started with a C. That's all I had. Completely blanked. Go listen to our episode. Yes, it's in Arkansas.
It's the Arkansas Sister episode.
It's Eureka Springs. The Crescent Hotel. It's very haunted. So go listen to that episode and learn about Theodora because she's the best ghost in the world and I can't wait to meet her.
I'm so jealous that she's getting to go meet Theodora.
I know. It's an early birthday present, so
I'm jealous.
It's gonna be great. I can't wait. Anyway, so no, she's like more helpful, I guess. Although packing my suitcase is helpful, even if you do it angrily. Like that's fine. That's cool. But guests have shared stories of waking up to a room that was tidier than the night before, with their clothes folded and suitcases organized.
That is
so she does kind of. She doesn't
just angry. She doesn't angry pack, but she does pack. Oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah.
How do you tip an afterlife?
I don't know. I don't think you can.
So can you put out food like in Harry Potter and they like swim through it? And
I don't know.
Somewhat taste it.
I have no idea. If anybody knows how you would tip a ghost
that packs for you,
let us know. Anyway, moving on. One couple told a staff member at the Stanley that their bed was made around them during the night, with them still inside. They got tucked in.
Aw, they got so sweet.
However, take note, if you're considering staying in this famous hotel and aren't married, you may not have the most restful night if you choose to stay in room 217.
Oh no.
Unmarried couples have reported a chilly presence settling into bed with them as they've slept. So, Elizabeth does not approve of unmarried couples staying there together. So just take note, you may want to stay in a different room.
Gotcha. Okay.
And yes, this was the same room that Stephen King slept in when he was there. There are 2 other creepy locations at the Stanley Hotel.
Okay.
That are not like in the hotel.
Okay.
So these are really creepy and I like them a lot.
Is there like a creepy barn? Oh, okay.
So these locations include an on-site pet cemetery.
Okay, that's creepy.
Where some of the owner's animals have been laid to rest over the years.
That's
You want to know one of the animals?
Is there an animal ghost?
Cassie, a friendly golden retriever, is said to still deliver newspapers and scratch at the doors to be let in from outside, despite being buried at the grounds. We love her.
Precious.
She's still bringing the newspaper.
She's still doing her job.
She is. She's so cute.
That's her job.
I love her.
She's gonna help out.
So the other creepy location is a large cave system that's located under the hotel.
No way.
Creepy.
It has a cave system. Is there tunnels?
I mean, basically they are like used as tunnels. Like, the reason that they have these, I think it must have been like man-made cave network. But I guess in the early days of Stanley, it was considered unprofessional for the staff to be seen by guests, which is insane.
That's stupid.
Yeah. So employees used the underground pathways to travel between rooms and the hotel's bar, restaurant, and laundry facilities. So they literally had to go through the tunnels so they wouldn't be like seen by the guests.
But that's stupid.
Wild. Here's the last ghost. Might be my favorite. Like this would just automatically make me feel safe and happy.
Okay.
The ghost of a pastry chef is said to haunt the caves.
Okay.
As evidenced by the alluring and inexplicable scent of baked goods that are frequently reported there.
Oh my god.
Isn't that incredible?
That is
that has to be one of my favorite ghosts. Like
that is
how comforting.
So cool. Just
yeah.
Down in a dark cave, but then you smell like fresh baked bread and you're just like, okay, this is fine.
You can't feel unsafe smelling fresh baked bread.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That is awesome.
And that is the story of the Stanley Hotel.
Well done.
Thank you.
Nicely done. I had not known all that about the Stanley.
Sorry, I said my iPad on my mic cord and it just crashed. I got it.
She caught it though.
It's gonna be a loud sound when I edit.
It sure is.
Gonna have to cut that out.
Okay. All right. Are you ready for my story?
I'm so ready for your story.
Okay, I am talking about Alferd Packer.
Ah, yes.
Have you heard this?
I've heard his name.
Okay.
And I have to admit, before we started recording, when I was trying to just like see kind of what the schedule would be, and I wanted to see if you were done with your notes yet. So I went on there, but all that was on there was like the title. And I was like, cool. I have some time. So I only saw the title, but
okay, so I'm talking about Alferd Packer.
Awesome.
And my sources are, before I forget, uncovercolorado.com.
No way.
Wikipedia.org.
Hey, we have 2 sources in common.
NationalGeographic.co.uk. Colorado.edu. History.com. TripAdvisor.com. And YouTube.com, because I had to figure out how to properly pronounce a Native American tribe's name.
Great.
So, all right, my story. It was April of 1874, and the winter that year had been hard on those that lived in the mountains of Colorado. There were several men in the Los Pinos Indian Agency when a man staggered into the room with rags on his feet, a rifle in his hand, and a tale to tell.
I've heard this.
Have you?
I have totally heard about this. Oh, I'm so excited. I don't remember the specifics, but I remember enough from just you saying that I was like, yeah.
This man was Alferd Packer. Okay, and this man is a man of mystery because even his name is not fully known whether it's Alferd or Alfred.
Okay.
So I'm going to refer to him as Alferd because that's what most sources say.
Interesting name.
He said that he was part of a group that was in search of gold. They had run out of supplies in the harsh winter due to the amount of snow that had lost the trail. After further questioning about how he survived, especially since based on his description he had provided thus far, the men thought that he should look more emaciated than he did after the significant time without supplies and food.
Absolutely know this story. Like, fully know this story. This one's so good. Oh my goodness. Okay, great. Love it.
You probably would.
Did you see me just like sit here like this forever? I was like, I know this one. Like, really actually know it.
Yes.
Okay, great. Love it.
He eventually confessed that the group had taken to eating each other as time went on. He said, "We ate Old Man Swan first. The strong ate the weak one by one, leaving their bodies miles apart until only he and Bell remained. Bell then tried to kill him, he claimed, and so he shot him dead." All right. However, that was only one of the versions of the story that he eventually told.
Ah, yes.
So
I have a feeling that's not the accurate one either, is it?
No.
Yeah.
So a little bit more about Alferd. Alferd was born around Pittsburgh in 1842. He suffered from epilepsy, and this would affect how he was viewed by others in his community, those around that he met. A lot of it was because people didn't know much about epilepsy, and so it kind of freaked people out.
Yeah, well, a lot of people like a long time ago would think like people were possessed because they were having seizures.
So he enlisted in the Union Army during the Civil War, but was discharged due to his frequent seizures. After the war, Packer rattled around the country, landing in Utah in 1873. Late that fall, he joined a group of 20 prospectors headed to southwestern Colorado. There was news of a gold strike there and marvelous tales of enormous fortunes to be had for the mere asking. Okay.
The American dream, if you will.
American dream. Gold, go dig for some gold and get rich fast.
Yeah.
Travel was slow going, especially because winter arrived early and it was harsh. By late January, the prospectors had run out of provisions and were eating livestock feed when they arrived at a Ute Indian encampment. The leader, Chief, I'm going to say this the way I think it's said, Chief Ure. I did some searching and a person on TripAdvisor said that they live in the town and had gone to a museum. And the people at the museum say that the chief's name is Ure, but the town's name is Ure. Okay. So I'm going to go with Ure. Great. So the leader, Chief Ure, gave the men food and shelter and urged them to stay the winter, warning that no Ute would travel under such severe conditions. So he's like, my tribe, my warriors, nobody's going to be traveling in these conditions. You shouldn't either.
Like you can stay with us. We'll take care of you.
And they were nervous when they got to the Native American camp because they weren't sure how they'd be received, but they were welcoming. They gave them food, they gave them supplies, and they're like, please stay. Like you're gonna die if you go out there.
They're trying to save their lives.
Although most of the group decided to stay, some had gold fever and decided they were going to go ahead and go out. Okay.
Even though the people who are
from that area,
the professionals
that know the area, are saying we wouldn't go out, they're going to go ahead and try it.
Naturally. Yeah. Because why listen to the people who actually know what they're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So the group that decided to go split into two groups. The first decided to follow Chief Ure's directions. He said, don't go through the mountains to go to, because they were going to an outpost, Los Pinos. They were trying to get there because that was the outpost. They were going eventually to Breckenridge. That's where this gold rush was supposed to be happening. So they were going to Los Pinos before they went to Breckenridge. So, And he said, don't go over the mountains. It's treacherous. You don't have the supplies. You don't have snowshoes. You don't have any of the things you need for that kind of trip.
Yeah.
Follow the river around the mountains to get there. So the first group decided to take his advice. But even with taking his advice, they still ran out of supplies because the winter was so bad.
Yeah. Well, because his first advice was don't do it because it's stupid.
Yes.
But if you're gonna do it, then do it this way.
Right. And so it was still too bad for them to make it. Hence why he had said, stay here. Thankfully though, they were taken in by cowhands with the government cattle camp near Gunnison, Colorado. So they were following the Gunnison River.
Okay.
And so those men took them in, gave them food and shelter. And they remained at the camp until later that April.
Okay. So they were fine. Like they're good. Okay.
They're good. However, Packer was adamant that he had a faster way to get to the outpost that led through the mountains. And so had
he ever been there?
No.
Okay, great.
In fact, he was their guide. He apparently knew exactly where he was going. That's how he got coordinated with this group, was he said that he was a guide, that he knew exactly how to get everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
But alas, he did not. So he and 5 men, without snowshoes, without proper provisions, decide they're gonna hike this mountain trail through the Rocky Mountains of Colorado.
Listen, at some point, natural selection, like,
you know,
you're that stupid, then okay.
So the ones that went with Packer are Israel Swan, George Noon, Frank Miller, James Humphrey, Shannon Wilson Bell, and along with, they went with Packer.
Fun fact, in Junie B. Jones, her grandpa's name is Frank Miller.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She always says, my grandpa Frank Miller.
Okay.
And her grandma Helen Miller. And then her grandma always says, don't call me Helen.
Okay.
We read a lot of Junie B. Jones, and I was like, oh yes, Frank Miller, Junie B. Jones' grandpa.
Okay.
I know exactly who that is.
I'm thinking it's probably not the same Frank Miller.
Probably not.
So they soon lost their way in the rugged San Juan Mountains and became snowbound. So we're gonna switch back to April.
Okay.
When was this? So this was like they originally started their trip in November. Okay. But I think it was probably around January at this point.
Okay.
So switching back to April. He at various points said that his comrades had left him along the trail, that they were going on the trail, that he was starting to slow down, he was having issues with the seizures. Okay. And they said, here's a rifle, we're going to leave you and go ahead. Like, we can't stay for you.
Okay. They're leaving their guide?
Uh-huh.
Well, that doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Nope. Unless at that point they'd already figured out
that he wasn't actually a guide.
That
he had never been there in his life. Okay, great.
Wasn't contributing anything to the group.
Perfect.
So that was one of his seizures, or that's one of his seizures. One of his excuses, one of his stories.
Okay.
While in town, so he got to Los Pinos, and then he also went to another nearby town where he began spending a lot of money. He spent, I don't even remember I didn't write down how much. Would have been like probably over $1,000 in today's money.
Oh, okay.
He bought a new horse. He bought new supplies, new clothes, and bought a lot of beer.
Okay.
While he was in town. So when the other half of the group, so the ones that were taken in by the cowboys, when they got to town, they were quickly suspicious of his story and recognized that many of the things he had on him belonged to other members of his group.
Yeah.
He also had started out with very little money the last time they had seen him. So how had he suddenly gained all that cash?
Wow, interesting.
He said that a man in another town loaned him the money.
Just because, just for fun.
So they requested that he stick around while somebody traveled to verify his story. And he reluctantly agreed. And sure enough, they said no, he was spending lots of money, but nobody here gave him a loan. And in fact, we noticed that he had different wallets on him.
Interesting.
Interesting how that happened. So Packer was arrested on murder charges, but he escaped before going to trial.
Of course.
Yes. So while he's escaped, a traveling illustrator for Harper's Weekly made a grisly discovery: the decomposing remains of the 5 missing prospectors,
Oh,
all in one location.
interesting, since I thought it was at different times.
Yeah, doesn't quite fit the story.
Mm-mm.
4 had fractured skulls.
Hmm.
1 was headless, and all
Oh.
bore signs of butchering.
Okay.
The men had died together in one place, which completely went against his first story. 9 years later, Packer was captured in Wyoming.
9 years?
9 years.
Dude.
Yeah, 9 years. And I can never find how he got captured. Like, I don't know what led to his capture. Nothing. But he was finally captured in Wyoming and returned to Lake City, where he was tried for murder, found guilty, and sentenced to die by hanging.
Okay.
The verdict, I'm going to come back to the trial a little bit later too. The verdict was overturned on a technicality. Basically,
of course it was.
Basically, in that time frame, Colorado had then become a state, but the territory rules at the time were that they weren't allowing the death penalty.
Oh.
And so because he had first been charged while it was a territory and not a state, it got overturned.
Like the whole thing is overturned,
like
not just
thing.
he's not.
Like the whole thing.
Great.
So, during the trial, his story was that he left the group. They were all together.
Mm-hmm.
He left the group to go find the trail because they had lost the trail. It was so snow covered that they could not follow the trail.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was like, I'm going to go out and try to find the trail. So he leaves, comes back hours later. And when he comes back, Bell has killed the rest of the group, and he charges at Packer with the hatchet, the same one that he used to kill the other members.
Yeah.
And so in self-defense, Packer shoots him with his pistol, and he shoots him twice in the belly, and then finishes him off with the hatchet that Bell had. And then he lived off the bodies for the time that he was out there.
Okay.
So that's his story. But if that was the story, why not say that?
Right. Why did it change?
Why did it change? Packer was tried a second time and convicted on the lesser charge of manslaughter and sentenced to 40 years in the state penitentiary.
He got tried a second time?
Yeah, because the first time it was murder. Okay. And the second time it was manslaughter.
Okay. Listen, I'm just saying, that's why when there are multiple victims, you don't charge for all of them the first time. Because then if they get off on those, you can charge for the other ones when you have a little more evidence.
Yeah.
For actual murder, not manslaughter.
Yeah.
That's just how you do it.
However, today people still speculate whether or not he had planned to murder the people or if it had just been a horrible accident and that was how he had to do it to survive.
Yeah, I guess it could be either.
So Grant Houston, head of the Hinsdale County Historical Society and editor and publisher of the local newspaper, the Lake City Silver World, says, many people here, myself included, would tell you that Packer was guilty. I grew up with the people who had been here at the turn of the century and their grandparents who had been here, perhaps on the Packer jury even. They believe Packer lured the men up here because they had money or guns or something that he wanted, dispatched them, and then took off.
Oh, okay.
While Houston sides with the Packer jury, others have raised doubts about the jurors' qualifications. Of 57 prospective jurors interviewed, 54 had admitted prior knowledge of the case, and 44 stated that they had preconceived opinions of Packer's guilt. Eventually, Judge Melville Gary had to order the sheriff to scour the highways and byways for candidates to fill the jury, and somehow he accomplished the job in a few hours.
Interesting.
On April 9th, 1883, the day Packer's trial began, the courtroom was filled to capacity. The prosecution presented some 24 witnesses. I'm like, how do you have witnesses?
Maybe just about him like buying things in town and that sort of thing.
But it still doesn't mean that you know what happened out in the wild.
No. It's wild.
Odo Mears, a prominent local businessman, testified that Packer possessed valuable Wells Fargo drafts when he emerged from the mountains. Okay, again, that still doesn't tell you what happened in.
Even if like they had died from exposure or something, which obviously they didn't because of their injuries.
Right.
Just because you take what they have doesn't mean you like
kill them for gain. It could mean that they just died.
And also, like, why would you leave valuable stuff out there anyway? Like,
right. Constable Ehrman.
Oh, we just got a thumbs down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But you had a thumbs up though.
I did have a thumbs up. Excuse me.
Get it right.
Get it right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For those listening, Zoom is doing the silly little thumbs up and thumbs down again.
Yeah. So Constable Herman Louder recounted how Packer, when ordered to hand over a knife, instead lunged at him with murder in his eyes.
Okay. That doesn't seem admissible in court, but okay.
No. Preston Nutter, one of the prospectors who waited out the winter with the Ute Indians, testified that Packer had been skulking about trying to discover how much money each man was carrying.
That is suspicious.
That is suspicious.
That's a good witness right there.
However, the other thing about that though is people have judged him ever, like his whole life, because of his epilepsy.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
well, that makes it hard to determine what actually happened.
It is. When Packer took the stand, he gave a rambling, long-winded testimony lasting over 6 hours.
6 hours?
Yes. According to his telling of events, the fierce weather forced him and the other prospectors to make camp in a ravine that offered some shelter from the snow and wind. We ate our goat skin moccasins and subsisted on rosebuds until we were weakened and emaciated and mentally completely distracted. Yet, if there was anyone sane of the 6, I was the one.
Okay.
So that's when he said on one day that while the men were freezing under their blankets, that's when he left to find a way out of the mountains. And then when he returned, Bell was roasting meat over a fire. And as Packer approached, Bell grabbed a hatchet and came after him. He lifted his gun, shot his assailant, and then finished him off with a blow to the head from the hatchet. And then to his horror, he discovered that Bell had hacked the other men to death.
Like just one against the rest.
But if they're all frozen, if he has this like fit of crazy, right? And everybody else is emaciated.
Yeah.
They're cold.
I guess that's true.
And they weren't ready for it.
Right.
Potentially.
Yeah.
It does seem unlikely, but.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess either way you look at it, like if his story is true or if it's not, like either way it was one man killing all of them.
All of them.
It just is the question of which man.
Wild. He admitted that he survived the men's flesh until he was able to escape the mountains, but he adamantly maintained that he only killed Bell and that was in self-defense.
Okay.
The jury did not buy his story, not only because of the testimony from the prosecution's witnesses, but also because of Packer's odd performance on the stand. He habitually referred to himself in the third person.
Oh, I don't like that. It's weird.
Such as saying, Packer was as much thought of as any man. So, like, calling instead of saying he would say Packer.
It's so weird.
And often seemed more interested in settling personal vendettas than proving his innocence. Saying that Constable Louder was a liar. He said, "To think that one little Dutchman could take a knife away from me? No, sir."
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
The jury wasted little time in finding Packer guilty of murder, and Judge Jerry sentenced him to be hung from your neck until you were dead, dead, dead.
Okay.
Yeah. However, then Colorado's Supreme Court overturned his death sentence again because the crime had occurred before statehood, and the territorial statute banned the death penalty. Yeah. So it was overturned. The people from Lake City were enraged.
Oh, I'm sure.
And threatened to hang the man himself or themselves. Yeah. So his second trial was moved to Gunnison.
Okay.
And there Packer was found guilty on a lesser charge of manslaughter and sentenced to 40 years in prison.
Okay.
However, a group of people believed him to be innocent. And so after he had been in jail for several years, there was a movement to free him.
Oh.
And they were like, we think that he's innocent.
Yeah.
We think that that he was misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
That they were all against him because they just didn't like him.
Yeah.
And it was a predetermined
Like
jury.
yeah.
And so so they had like a petition they were writing to the governor trying to get him pardoned. And one supporter even said, supposing the man did commit the crime, after such privations, I do not see how he could be held responsible. The line between sanity and insanity is often very thin, and I don't think we understand it.
Interesting.
I thought that was very well stated.
Yeah, I like that.
I know.
Huh. Okay. I'm torn. Like, I really don't know if he did it or not. I mean,
I'm honestly torn too.
Like, I don't know. Normally, it's just like, well, obviously, or like, obviously not.
Yeah, I'm very torn in this case too.
Huh. Like, I really have no idea.
In his last act in office, Governor Thomas granted Packer. He granted Packer parole, but he did not get a pardon.
Okay.
So after he got out, Packer took up residence in Denver, but he could not stand city life, so he moved outside of Denver to Littleton to be closer to the mountains. He bought some copper claims and went about prospecting again until his epilepsy got the better of him, and he died in 1907 at the age of 65.
Oh, okay.
Many years later, a pistol was found in the area that the bodies had been found years prior. The gun fit the description of the one that Packer had said that he used, because when he came back to town, he didn't have a pistol. He had the rifle. Yeah. They didn't have a pistol.
Okay.
And so they found a pistol, and the lead of the bullet matched the lead on the skeletal remains of Bell. And he had a hole in his pelvis. That matched. So they did a test and they took an elk bone and they shot it with a similar pistol, because the one they found was like way too rusted. It wasn't, you couldn't use it. But a similar model, they tested it and it made the same mark on the elk bone that Bell had on his hip bone. So that part matched his story. I mean, it still doesn't.
Yeah, like he could have killed him in that way, not in self-defense. Like he just wanted to kill him. But I mean, that does.
But it does.
It doesn't hurt his story.
It doesn't hurt his story. It matches up with that part of his story. Through the years, residents of Lake City, Boulder, and other Colorado towns have held mock trials for Packer. Actors played the key roles, and audience members served as jurors. And whenever the evidence of the bullet and the bone came into play, the jurors acquitted Packer more often than not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I may have also. Like, you can't be sure. I mean,
you can't be sure. It's not. I feel like there's a reasonable doubt.
There's definitely reasonable doubt.
So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And as a juror, you're only supposed to find them guilty if they're found guilty with
beyond a reasonable
doubt. And I feel like there's reasonable doubt.
I agree.
Today, there in Lake City, Colorado, you can eat at the Packer Saloon and Cannibal Grill. You can stay.
Well, that is not very tasteful. I don't like that.
You can stay at the Cannibal Cabins.
Oh my
goodness. Over the years, the town has hosted an annual Al Packer Day featuring coffin races, mystery meat eating competition, and an Al Packer lookalike contest.
That is wild. I was going to say I kind of want to go. I actually don't. I think that's too far. I think that's way too far.
And get this. I gotta tell you.
Oh no.
The University of Colorado Boulder even has a place on campus where you can eat at the Alferd Packer Grill. And students are greeted by a giant portrait of the cannibal and the slogan, "Have a friend for lunch."
How have they gotten away with this for so long?
UC Boulder students have hosted Al Packer Days wearing t-shirts with the phrases like "finger licking good" and "when you care enough to eat the very best."
Oh my goodness. That is insane.
And Cannibal! The musical is based on this story.
I've heard of that
Yes.
musical. Yes.
So it's also a movie. So there's a musical, like a play version, but there's also a movie.
Like a movie of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So that is the story of Alferd Packer.
That is quite a story. Great job. Oh
Thank
my
you.
goodness. I can't get over those things at the end though. That's insane. I really don't think I would have found him guilty, to be honest, if I was on that jury and had the evidence of the pistol and stuff too. Like if they had already
Yeah.
had that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would have found him guilty.
I don't think so. If there's too
There's
much
too much doubt. Yeah.
Anything about that kind of condition. I mean, if you are literally starving, you're out of your mind. I mean, that, like that person said, like the line between sanity and insanity is very thin. Yeah, especially in those conditions.
Yeah, I mean, you can't judge somebody for their actions in that situation because, like, I mean, it's a situation no one should ever be in. Like,
Right.
oh, that's
So,
wild. Great story. Great
thank you.
job.
Thank you.
Oh man. Okay.
All right. Well, folks, you heard it here. If you want to go eat at the Cannibal Grill, you can either go to UC University of Colorado Boulder's campus, or you can go to Lake City, Colorado.
Let us know if you go.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go, but if you want to, let us know how it is, I guess.
All right. Well, on that note, if you have enjoyed this episode, make sure that you rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you share this podcast with anybody who you think will enjoy learning about the latest places to eat that is crime related.
Right.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Send any suggestions for stories or places to go ghost hunt. Send those stories to spookyokiepodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to support us on Patreon so you can get all the spooky ooky content that you want.
It's only $3 a month, so
only $3. Come on, it's less than a Starbucks drink.
yeah, it's really no big deal.
Is that it?
Like and subscribe on YouTube,
Yes.
and that's it. Yeah.
Oh, and don't forget to follow me on TikTok. Still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers.
How you doing?
Followers. I'm at 695.
Okay, you're getting there.
I'm
You're
getting
in
there. Yeah.
Nice.
So don't forget Captain Longest at TikTok. Or
Great.
On TikTok.
On TikTok. Great. You should probably learn how to say it if you want people to follow you.
Probably should.
Don't follow me on TikTok. I got nothing on there really. Nothing good.
I don't have any new content on TikTok, but I'm gonna be making some. So make sure you follow so that you can see it when it comes out.
Nice. All right. That's about it, I think.
I think so. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.